it's that fine balance of we have an elite brand, and when you come in, we are exactly who you thought we were. Like, we're real people, we're good people, and we deliver. And I think that is absolutely everything, giving people a world-class experience. And then secondly, we live in a world that just wants things to be a little easier. And that's not a con,
Right.
but can we bring in people to make their lives easier so they can go make more money? That's as simple as what we do.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Culture Camp. I'm really excited about this one. I got Michael Perry. Michael, thank you for being on the show.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you for having me.
Michael is probably one of the coolest dudes I've ever met. He had one of the craziest weddings I've ever been to that was in a beautiful area that every time I drive by it up in Heber, I'm like, oh, man, it's freaking sick. But Michael is the co-founder of the top real estate, one of the top real estate teams. Is it the top?
Yeah,
The
top
top?
residential.
You are the co-founder of the top residential team in Utah called the Perry Group. A 3-time top 50 realtor in the state. You're an investor. You're seasoned in luxury, flips, and you went to Beacon Heights Elementary School.
That part's a joke, but yeah, thank you. I'll take the intro.
Hey, no, man, I love it. But shout out to Beacon Heights, right?
Right?
Let's go. But man, I really, really appreciate you being on here. I haven't really known you super well. I've heard of you a lot, but we've kind of got to know each other a little bit here and there. And so I had Cars and Coin, and it kind of was like, man, like I really got to get you on here because we talked about it before when kind of our schedules, and you're super busy. I mean, you just had the second best month ever of how many deals?
106. We have one more day, so maybe we'll hit 110.
106 deals in 1 month. I would venture to say that you're crushing it. I mean, that's freaking crazy.
Yeah, we're cruising. Proud of my team. It's been an interesting time, as everyone knows, in real estate. It's in shambles if you look at the news right now, but it's been cool.
Well, I want to, like, dude, in August, like, this is just in August. Like, we have a couple more days. I mean, whenever this comes out, August 2022, everybody's losing their mind in real estate, right? Like, everybody's saying, oh, this happened, a recession, deals are not flowing. We're going to, I was at a real estate, I think I was at Cars and Coin with you, and someone was like, hey, we just had a showing and no one showed up for the first time. Like, or not a showing, but an open house. No, not you. But the event we were at, they were like, this guy raised his hand and was like, for the first time, we were talking about real estate. And he said for the first time in, 2 years, he had an open house with no one showing up. And in the Perry Group just did 106 deals. So far to this day, we got one more day and, a business day so we can make it happen. Right. But man, that's awesome. So I just want to kind of go back. You've had a pretty seasoned life. Yeah. Kind of I don't know if it's a crazy life. We'll get into it, but you've done a lot. You played a lot of sports. I just want to know, why you moved into real estate, kind of what your background was on that. I know you played a lot of sports, and I think you played college, right? You played college ball. Yep. Talk about kind of Michael Perry, who Michael Perry is, just for a little bit.
Yeah. So for me, real estate, I don't have that plan. Like, I wasn't in elementary school or 5 years old, 10 years old, being, I can't wait to sell real estate, like a lot of people have. And so for me, it was sports. My whole life, my identity was sports. And I got into it, and then I played football at Snow College, and I tore my patellar tendon for the second time.
Ouch.
Yeah, and that was like, I was year 2 at a junior college, tore it twice, and patellar tendon, that's not an easy rehab.
Right.
So I was like, what do I do? I hate school. I'm not good at school. So literally, I signed up for real estate 7 days later, enrolled in my course, and then 30 days later, I had my license.
Wow.
So I don't know if you should be able to get your license that quick, but I was rolling. We were going.
That's awesome, man. It just kind of shows you the person that you are and why you just did 106 deals in August, because you obviously, you don't let the grass grow under your feet. If we
went for it.
Usually people, an injury like that, especially when sports, like you were talking about, defines you. Yeah. And with an injury like that, you can almost call it kind of career ending. Obviously, it was a career-ending injury. Maybe it wasn't like you could never play again, but it was like, man, it's hard to play at this high of a level. Yeah. Usually that can go one of a couple different ways. And I'm sure you've had some friends, colleagues, people that they had that career-ending injury and it just destroyed them. How are you able to overcome that injury and then move on from? Was it an easy transition? How'd that go?
Yeah, it was weird. It was almost numb. So like when I tore it for the second time, my best friend, who now plays for the Saints, he was, I think, 2 or 3 year all conference. I don't know if he was an All-American, but you get the point.
Right.
And so I was sitting in bed at a junior college, looking up at my wall, being like, God, what?
Right.
It's not working for me. So I think that part was peaceful in the sense of I worked so hard,
Right.
like 60, 70, 80, 90 hours, and it didn't work. Like, it didn't work at all. So I was like, it was just a closed chapter that didn't really sting. And then I just like turned my life away from sports for a year. And I was numb to it. Like, I wasn't hurt by it, but it just, I wasn't interested.
Right.
I'm fully back interested again, but it was weird the peace it brought me when it happened that quick.
That's important because a lot of us out there and a lot of listeners cannot, you know, if something fails, it's so hard. Yeah. Like I'm always like, hey, like I would rather do something and then look at myself in the mirror and look, and be like honest with myself, have a little conversation, say you gave it everything you possibly could and it just didn't work. You like it's easy closure, right?
Totally.
And so, you know, I think that, you know, that's important for a lot of us to do is just if you are going to maybe not do something and change past career paths or go a different way to, you know, have that conversation with yourself. And it's almost like a reset and say, hey, did I give it everything I could? Yeah. And I'm sure that if you looked at yourself in the mirror back then and you said, no, I didn't get everything I could, you probably would still have kept pushing. But if you really can have that conversation, it's like, you know.
Yeah, and I think that was why it was so peaceful. Like I mean, the day before I tore my patellar tendon, I was not thinking about, hey, what's next? Like it was one plan. I was going to make it happen. And like looking back, that might have been a little naive, but that's my mindset now with real estate. Like people say, oh, like what's next? Like I don't know. We'll figure it out when it happens.
Right. Yeah. You know, there's no reason to fix problems you don't have.
Yeah.
Or create problems.
Amen
you
to
don't
that.
Have. Yeah. Yep. It's crazy. So you get your real estate license in 30 days after so basically you tear your, what is it? Patellar tendon.
Yeah. Right below your kneecap.
You tear, so when people have like jumper's knee, right? Is that what that is?
Yep.
Oh,
and then it tears.
No. All right. Well, jumper's knee. And then that doesn't sound good. I always had that growing up and you had those little bands.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I wore that for 2 years and then it popped.
Well, good thing I sucked at basketball. Never played very much. So then I never got that opportunity to pop. But, so you know, like pretty much 30 days after you tore it, were you basically still, I mean, all you couldn't really do much because you were, you know, kind of put up and you couldn't really, you know, maybe do a lot of things. You got your real estate license. How was it? You know, why did you do real estate? Because people do sales, especially in Utah. A lot of people go into sales and door to door and different things like that. Why real estate?
Totally. And I think that's, and I think like me and you entrepreneurs, it's hard, but it was like my dad's in real estate, so I'm going to try real estate.
Right.
So he'd been in it for 13 years and I was like, I'm just going to try this. Like it sounds fun. You get to meet cool people and show cool houses. It's a lot more than that looking back.
For sure.
But I was like, let's just do it. And so I signed up, got my license, joined Keller Williams. I was just a solo agent and we went for it.
That's awesome. So how was your first little while in real estate?
I think the coolest, I tell the story all the time. Every time I'm on a podcast, I tell it. It was hard, but in a sense, easy just because I knew the expectations. So there was a woman named Lee Stern. She sat me down, I think it was day 5, and she's a legend here. She sold like 3,000 houses.
I think I've heard of her before.
Yeah, she's awesome. And she pulls me aside and she says, Michael, these 6 months are going to suck. You're going to lose friends. You're not going to see anybody. It's a grind.
Right.
But just tell everyone it's only 6 months and then it's going to get a little easier. And so first 6 months were brutal. I mean, it was truly 24/7. I probably worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then we went to Park City, my wife and I, day 181. I was like, wow, it's good to see you again. Let's roll.
Heck
so
yeah.
it was a grind, but I think necessary in anything in life. I think when you blow it up, it's not easy in the beginning.
Heck yeah. So I want to ask you one thing. Do you think, because I'm really fascinated by entrepreneurs and people that want to grow. Like there's a lot of people that just do stuff and they're good with just the kind of the monotonous grind of they're just rolling. But it seems to me, and I know you fairly well, that you're not good with just, hey, I'm gonna take it easy. Yeah. And I'm just gonna sell a good living. Like there are a lot of real estate agents out there, a lot of just people, salespeople, anything. I'm just gonna do pretty much the bare minimum.
Totally.
To have a decent life, to have a good life. But I'm really fascinated by people that scale and that they want to keep growing and pushing and create a group. Yeah. Because there are a lot of people out there that just don't do that. They're just, and we need those people. You know, that's it's the, you know, right butt on the seat, or right a seat on the bus. The butt,
yeah.
You know, whatever.
Totally.
But do you think that you had that at an early age? Like I'm talking elementary, junior high. Were you that natural leader with all your friends?
Yeah, and so I saw it from the beginning. And so, like, even for me, my brother, who was super into basketball, he was that 6th grader who practiced at recess by himself.
Right.
And so I think I always took that mentality of do everything full gas pedal. And I think it's paid off, and it's like you just said, I think we need everyone.
Right.
And the mentality, it's taken a long time to understand, like, hey, why wouldn't I go 100%?
Right.
And to be able to have balance in life. I haven't found it yet. I work towards it every day. I'm sure you do. I asked you how you being present, but it's definitely, it's my DNA. It's who I am.
No, that's awesome. And I ask everybody that I can when they're like, hey, you know, from an early age, because I think it's so fascinating. Because I had Keaton Hoskins on here, and he asked me a good question that was like, hey, do you think people are born this way or made this way? And I'm like, man, that is so.
What was your answer?
Because, I think most people are born just naturally like that. It's personality. Like you just said, it's in their DNA. However, I do think people can be made into, but it's got to be the right situation and the right way. But it's kind of hard because a lot of it is personalities. Because, you know, I grew up with, you know, I have an older sister, an older brother, and then a twin brother. He's a little bit younger. I was the planned one. He was a mistake. But no, I'm kidding. But you know, all 4 of us are so different. You know, my older sister, she's an entrepreneur. She owns a grocery store up in Canada, which that's a different.
Hear about that.
Canada's a different. That's a trip. We were just up there actually. But like my 2 middle brothers they're very, very different, and I love them to death. Like, and they work for me actually. They work for a company, and it's just so fascinating and I used to think it was so negative because I looked at them and was like, dude, we grew up the same. Why don't you like me?
Why are we so different?
And I always used to say, like, you know, my brother, you know, apple doesn't fall from the tree. Man, he fell off in a different grove. Like, he's way over there. But I started to understand and mature in business and life and say, wow, he just has a very different role. And what he's doing for us now, both of them are killing it in what they do. But they, you know, don't want to do what I'm doing, and there's a lot of different things.
Are they behind the scenes?
Oh yeah, one of them's an inventory manager, so he manages all the inventory, like, you know, over $100 million a year with inventory. And then my other brother is director of parts, so he does all the parts for the group. Okay, they're very good at what they do, so they're kind of behind the scenes, but kind of, you know, out there with the vendors and doing their thing like that. But they're not like me doing what I do, and I hope there's only one me, because I don't think the world can handle another one. But it's just so fascinating to be, you know, that we can grow up so differently, and we can grow up or so the same and be so different. And so I love that. Like, and most people I do interview, they say exactly what you just said of, I was the kid on the playground doing the extra. I was doing all of that stuff, and I was just a little bit different. So I think that's awesome.
Are you introvert or extrovert?
I'm definitely an extrovert. Yeah. Like, every party, man, I'm going to the people and be like, hey, I like your shoes. I like your bracelet. I like your watch. Like, well, just to talk to you. Like,
I'm a hardcore introvert.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the one thing that you absolutely can train.
Right.
And I would say lead by action. I think I've always done it.
Right.
But like lead out front and in front of people, I think that can be learned.
So let's get into that. How have you been able to overcome that? Because you kind of, being who you are and leading a group, you almost can't be a super introvert. Now you can be a level-headed, just, you don't have to be like you're on coke all the time and fire people up. I got a guy that I know very well that listens to this, that, you know, he was in a sales meeting. He stapled stuff to his forehead thing. He's so excited. And literally blood dripping down his face. Like, you don't all have to be like that. But how have you been able to, like, I don't really want to call overcome, but how have you been able to work through that?
I think it's just understanding your mission, and not even to be cheesy, but like, do you have value you can give that people need to hear?
Right.
And so for me, it's like speaking. I would say I'm a good speaker. Do I love it necessarily? No, I don't love it. I think I'm good at it. The feedback's great, but I think for me, and that goes into a deeper background, just like I have a message to deliver, so I have to go deliver it. And I think that's what I didn't realize for a while. And I think I kind of hid behind it, like, I'm not gonna say my thing, do my thing. And then I think the second part to that is delegating to the right people.
Right.
And I think it's definitely, you can run the show sometimes, and then when you're drained, understand and delegate to someone who can help you. And I think that's been the biggest thing for me. We talked about balance. It's like a year or 2 years ago, there was no balance. It was like perform. And I'd go home and I'd be like,
Right.
And then it's just, you find out how to delegate and where you can take off and then apply.
For sure. I think for us younger people,
16.
Right.
No.
Right. I think you have to be 18.
Yeah, right.
For hope the board's not listening to this.
Yeah.
I think for young people, being self-aware and being able to do exactly what you just said of checking yourself and delegating. Delegating is so hard. So hard, especially when you are younger and you have so much energy and you're like, I want to do it all. I want to do it all. I want to do it all. Someone asks you to speak. Yes. Someone
you delegate a lot? No.
100%. Yeah.
You have to.
I have 200 employees.
Yeah.
And that's just with our RV dealerships. I have a bunch of other different things going on. And I have to and I straight up tell people, especially when we get in a partnership, hey, I'm good at these things. Totally. I'm not good at these things. Yeah. Now I can help and do things, but I'm not an accountant. I didn't go to school. Totally. When I first got into the business, I didn't know what freaking debits and credits and balance sheets, all that stuff. I had to learn all of that. Yeah. And so I have accountants. I have all, a whole staff of, corporate office and stuff full of people. And so, but I'm naturally like that. And everybody's like, you're always lazy. No, I'm not lazy. I don't have the mental capacity to go try to do things I'm not good at. Yeah. And I honestly, a guy helped me years ago that talked about the Shaolin monks and how they master one trick 1,000 times or one thing, one whatever 1,000 times instead of 1,000 different moves one time.
Totally.
And I'm like, wow, I'm just going to do what I'm good at. And everybody's, you got to be good at everything. I'm more of, you have to be aware of everything and kind of know how it works. Yeah. But do I know how to build an RV? No. Yeah. Do I know how to work on one?
The company. Yeah.
I mean, I could probably figure it out, but I'm not going to sit there and spin my wheels and do it the most inefficient, terrible botch job ever. I'm going to get people to do it. But do I know that we need that? Yes. Yeah, can I put the team together? Yes. Do I know we need service writers and service managers and how all that goes together? Yes. So delegating is very important. Yeah. Huge question I have is when you're building a group. So let's kind of keep going along with your story here because I really think it's fascinating. So you get your license, you start going with Keller Williams, you hit it out of the. Why do you think you're able to just crush it from day one?
I think for me, the difference in the mentality that I have now, and I absolutely preach. Residential real estate, I think, gets a really bad name. Like, you probably know 50 agents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I probably know, yeah.
Yeah, you probably know way more.
Block.
Yeah, literally. And so I think for like a massive difference with commercial and residential, like you walk in and typically an office in commercial, they're dialed, they're in suits,
right,
running analysis after analysis. And then residential, it's just like, oh, yeah, like friends and family, who do you know who buy, sell, invest?
Yep.
And I think for me, it was, I'm going to get really good at one or two things. And for me, it's neighborhood and understanding, like, why does this transact that way?
Right.
And so for me, it was, I'm an expert in a local pocket and I'll preach that and I'll hound on it. And I think that's the massive difference with a lot of real estate agents. Like they get in because they can go make a $30,000 paycheck if they sell Aunt Sally's house.
Right.
And it's like, Aunt Sally runs out. There's not hundreds
she
of
moving every week.
Yeah, right. And so I think for me, it was just perspective of knowing that, like, hey, I can make a living and I can provide for so many people if I take it super serious.
Right.
And so for me, that's just been, I think anything I've done in life, I've honestly taken a little too serious.
Right.
But I think it's the reason why we're here.
Well, and you kind of have to at the beginning, right? Because there are other people that will.
Yeah.
And, I heard this story with, it was on a podcast I was listening to about Kobe.
Yeah.
and why was Kobe so great, and why did he do the things that he did, and all these things. And he went in there at 4:30 in the morning, and Kobe was already practicing.
Yeah.
And he said,
I heard that.
you heard this. And then he was like, I'll keep the story going for all my listeners. But he said, hey, come in, come to practice tomorrow. I'll be here at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So he was thinking he was going to get there at 3:30 and beat Kobe, right? Well, he was in there at 3:30 and said, oh, no. I said, practice starts at 4. The pre-practice starts at 3. You're late.
Yeah.
And that's what makes those people so much different. And I think with you in real estate, like you saw that from an early. Did you have a mentor, like someone saying, hey, you have to do it so different and so serious to be successful, or it's not going to work? Did you have someone in your ear, or was it just a natural feeling, like a gut feeling, a true gut feeling that says, I have to be so different and do things different and create a culture, which we'll get into, like a freaking culture. Like you have created something that
it's electric.
Is infectious, right? How did that come? Like, was it just a burning desire, burning feeling?
Yeah. I think for me, it was, I didn't have necessarily one. I would say I probably had 10. And so genuinely had 10. And so I'd walk into the office, and I mean, some of the best agents in the state of Utah, I was 2 doors away from. And so I think for me, it's just speaking to people about being a sponge. And so taking from Josh Stern, who sold thousands and thousands and runs one of the biggest teams in the country and coaches everywhere in the country, and just listening and hearing what his perspective is, to, hey, my dad's been in it for 13 years. What does he do? And so I think for me, it was just really, really learning. And then also when I got my license, I was 21. And so I'm just looking at my friends, and they have normal jobs. I mean, waiters, valet for when they were in college.
Right.
And I was like, there's not many people who have the opportunity to be able to do what I can go do. And for me, it was like, why don't I take this serious? And then this is super funny. Lee Stern, who I talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. There's two attires I'd show up to the office. I'd show up in a suit or in gym clothes. And Lee Stern pulled me aside, and she's like, honey, you're dealing with multi-million-dollar clients, and you look like you're about to go clean my garage. Get your act together. And so from that day on, I was like, okay, like, really, we got to take it serious.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Do you think, or how most people our age think that they know everything.
Yeah.
And most people in life think they know everything. Yeah. How are you able to kind of have that level where you were like, okay, I'm not going to try to come in here and act like I know everything, and I'm going to be a sponge, and I'm going to grab mentors. Yeah. There are a lot of people that I talk to that are like, oh, like, do you think I should get a mentor? I'm like, well, why wouldn't you? Yeah. What are you trying to do by yourself? Like, I'm the guy that takes, like, millennials, I think, often takes like the path of least resistance, right? Totally. I mean, it just kind of naturally. Yeah. I think that's anybody. Yeah. But how am I going to work so much harder? I'm going to work smarter. I'm going to go grab everybody that knows what they're doing more than I do. Create the team. Boom, off to the races, and then I'll learn on the way. Yeah. How important do you think that was, or how are you able to do that and put your feelings aside? I know it's probably part of your personality because you said you're more of an introvert, so you just kind of sit there and want to learn and be that sponge. Yeah. But if you're starting out in anything, I think it's super important. Do you think that was a huge part of your success? How important do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's massively important, but that wasn't me. Like, genuinely wasn't me in the first 6 months. So yeah, I walked in looking at the numbers board, the top people in the room, saying, I'm going for everyone's neck. In an unhealthy way. Like, I don't care what anyone tells me, who gives me advice, I'm going to be number one. And I think that it's a really interesting balance. Like, that fed the fire, right? But it also caused me a lot of ache, right? Because I was like, I don't want, Josh, no. Like, I got me. I'm good. Yeah. So it was definitely, and then it just took me a couple experiences of like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, why not go learn from these people? They've done it before. And then I mean, it's everything we do now. Delegate and learn and have a mentor. I think that's the biggest thing. And I even watch you on Instagram. It looks like you have a bunch of them. I think it's so critical to have people who you actually know care about you. Right. And they know, and you know why they want you to do well. Right. And I think I could go on and on how important they are.
That's huge. And another thing that I like what you just said is you didn't quit. Yeah. Usually when people start something, especially here to say anything bad about agents, but
Yeah.
a lot speaking or generally speaking, they get their license, they go out there, they join a brokerage or whatever, and they get their teeth knocked in, and they don't sell a house, and like, okay, peace, I'm out. I'm gonna go serve, like half-ass it now. I'm all in at the beginning. I got my teeth kicked in. Now I'm gonna go serve. And by the way, I'm a real estate agent, but I'm a server over here, but I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah, I think it has like the second highest failure rate.
Really?
Yeah. Of the
Why do you think that is? You think it's from saturation, or it's just a tougher industry than what the public sees? Because I don't see. Yeah. I mean, when I'm buying a house, it's some contracts, it's this and that and the other, and I'm signing DocuSign or .loop, whatever real estate agents use, and boom, out of there.
I have so many reasons. I think, and I speak on this all the time, that I got my license to sell someone's most often, typically the average person, their largest asset in 31 days is a problem. Like that's a fundamental problem that I can do that in 30 days.
Right.
And then I think it's most people get into real estate in a thriving real estate market, which we were in 3 months ago.
Right.
Or they have a Jason who needs to sell their house, or Aunt Sally or Jack wants to sell their house down the street. And oh no, where does deal number 2 come from?
Right.
And so I think to be honest, I don't think it's that hard of an industry, but it is hard to go.
Right.
And that part is not talked about.
You think it's harder? I mean, is it pretty hard to get started? And then once you're up, it's almost like a big jumbo jet. They get off to use most of their fuel, and they're up there at cruising altitude, and you're just kind of cruising and maintaining, and you kind of created that machine, but it took a lot of work to get there.
Yeah, that's what I don't think actually real estate is like that. And so I think that's one of the hard things, and that's why people don't last 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Right.
It's not an industry where you can get to the top
and just cruise.
Yeah.
It's
which has been annoying and kind of really weird. And so like I love the work ethic piece, but it's the day you go silent about real estate. Right. Is the day you stop getting calls.
Right.
And so it's not a subscription. It's like turn it on, turn it off. They're calling you.
Right.
So I think there's a bunch of reasons, but I think the number one failure rate is because it's way too easy to get your license. And then like we talked about earlier, people don't take it serious. It's like, oh yeah, I'll send Jason some DocuSign.
Yeah. And then it's like, hey, now my cousin, sister's brother's aunt is a real estate agent. She wants to sell your house. Dude, I don't have a relationship with her. Yeah. And at least for me, I like to have relationships with people and trust people. And I know things can go crazy. And then you got all these, we got homie out there and all kinds of different things. You don't know what's up and what's down. And then, especially with a lot of things, like with this house, it was a little bit of a battle with the other agent. And, having a good agent on your side, I think is really important.
Yeah.
No, that's all. You can almost say like it's like a jumbo jet that never cruises altitude. It's just always climbing.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's just always going there, and it's just work. Because I now thinking about it, you're right. I know a lot of people that are big in real estate, like Paul Benson from Park City.
Oh yeah,
he's always
he's always going.
I mean, and he just sold the most expensive house in Utah. Yeah, and he's always posting. Jimmy Rex, posting. Like all these guys are top guys or up there, and they're always hustling, always working. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like you're building kind of the brand and culture around an individual, right?
Social media, I think, might change it, and so that's going to be really interesting to see if you can feed a clientele without you have to go to the country club every other weekend, kind of thing. So it's going to be
because it is a lot of I wouldn't say kissing butt, but it is a lot of networking.
No, it is, and I think that's honestly been like if we're going to go personal, that's been part of the reason why I wanted to create a team so bad. Really? It was, do I really, I've proven to myself I can sell any home in Utah, but do I really want to network with these people every other day of my life?
Right.
And it's kind of the life you live. If you want to crush it in real estate, you have to pick.
So let's get in that. Let's get in so you go from you're in Keller Williams.
Yep.
So are you still Keller Williams or it was
Real Broker?
So, okay. Real Broker.
Best brokerage on the planet.
Shout out. Let's go into how why you kind of just said a little bit, but so you're having success now. The transition to the Perry Group, because there are a lot of, I think, very important things by creating a group and more importantly, a brand where people can see, they trust, they see your stuff everywhere. I see all over Salt Lake City. Yeah, I see all over social media. I went to your wedding with I feel like 150 people that work for Perry Group. How have you been able to, and you've been able to do it super successful with younger agents. how was the transition and go into deeper why you made the transition to a group and creating your own thing?
Yeah, I think and it sounds cliche, but it's culture. Like everything about me has always been, I know I'm an introvert, but it's always been team.
Right.
Like whether it's family, my best friends, or sports, everything's been team. And so I was sitting, I think it was month 9 of real estate, and I had made BOGO bucks for what I was used to. And it was like, this is lonely. Like I'm collecting paychecks, but I'm the least fulfilled I've ever been.
Really?
I don't feel like I'm helping anyone because I'm not emotional. I think Ryan Flint was on your podcast, and he was talking residential is emotional.
Right.
And it's like, I don't wake up fired up to sell people houses. I wake up to lead people to be great at my job.
Right.
And so for us, it was, how many people can we bring into a community to where we can actually change their life? And so for me, like my work history was, I went to college. I have 2 job interviews, LA Fitness and Chipotle. Didn't get either of them.
Really?
Either. And so I was like, there's got to be.
Chipotle, you missed out on the.
Yeah, right?
real
College
dude over
tuition,
here.
I
Right.
think. But I think for me, it was how many people have a similar story to me where I think we can provide opportunity. And that at the end of the day, it was, when we're 3 people, can we provide opportunity to 5? When we're 30, can we provide opportunity to 31?
Right. So you totally believe in, was Jim Rohn used to say, you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting that you created a team to help people or to help other agents. Is that pretty much what you're saying?
And
right?
and that's still what it is. That's the culture that we live and die on, is, can we provide opportunity? That's our mission. Can we provide opportunity for people so they can change their families?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever heard of a person in real estate. Man, I don't know. I have to think about this, and I'm probably going to get destroyed on social media about the sole purpose or the sole reason they created a brokerage, or not created a brokerage, created a team, was to help more people. That's interesting, because usually it's, okay, I can sell, round numbers, 10 houses myself.
Yeah.
If I get this guy on my team, okay, he's going to sell 10 houses. Okay, it's 20. If I can get him, and I'm just trying to duplicate my efforts for Michael.
Yeah.
Or for Jason. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to, if I can duplicate that with 100 people, I'm selling 1,000 houses a month. Cool.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
freaking insane. But God, that's interesting. And that goes right into, culture. How do you think you've been able to attract, now being popular and good looking aside, okay?
That's everything.
I know.
You're screwed if you don't have that. Quit now.
How have you been able to attract people to your group? Because there are other groups out there, and you went from basically from nothing to boom, the top group in Utah. Not just one of them, the top group. Yeah. You have that trophy, got the belt.
Oh yeah.
And how have you been able to do that so successfully at a young age? I think that's all fascinating, with younger people at such a professional level.
Yeah, I think you believe in what you do, and I think I was thinking driving here, like, hey, what sets our culture apart? And I think the easiest reason to love a culture and be a part of a culture is to absolutely believe in what you do. And so there's books and podcasts written on how to run a real estate team, and we've kind of 180 done everything different. It's
really?
Like, can we keep more money in the agent's pocket, and in the intern we'll make our piece, because they'll stay with us forever.
Right.
And so that's what most real estate teams do. It's tagline of, I'll train you to start your own real estate team. It's like, man, that sounds that sucks. And so for us, it was, how long can we keep these people? How much can we provide for these people? And then everything I think that we do is energy. It's just, do I want to come to work and be with these people? Right. And do we want to give opportunity to these people? And the 10, 15, 20-year seasoned vets, we really don't have any interest in them.
Really?
We don't want them coming to us and saying, hey, this is how we do things. We want corporate. We want tech. We want saying, hey, I have a great work ethic. Help me provide. Help me get there.
Right. Now that's super powerful, man, because I think that there's so much, I wouldn't say bad, but there's so much it's like that weight dragging you down when you
Yeah.
get that person that we've been doing this for 25 years and this is how we're going to keep doing it. And I'm like, well, that's why you're only, I say it in the RV dealership, but that's why you're only one dealer. And, in 2.5 years, I've gone from 1 to 8.
Totally.
And from, 10 million to 100 million a year. Yeah. And you're one dealership and I'm buying it from you.
Yeah.
Like we're in this transaction. And it's interesting because every single owner I've ever bought a dealership from is you're gonna fail. I can't believe you're doing it that way. What are you paying that person way too much money? And I'm like, dude, trust me. Yeah. And then we're way more successful than they ever were because of our culture and how we treat people. I think that's very fascinating that you've been able to do that at such a young age and like a young quick, and you almost purposely, like you just said, you don't want that. Yeah. That heavy weight, and there's value. Like old wisdom is so valuable, but when it's negatively affecting how you operate, that's when we have an issue.
Well, right? I think there's two pieces of it, and I'm sure you can speak the same on it. For us, we struggle with people who are hard-headed because that's not who we are.
Right.
Like if we have mistakes or if we need to change, we'll change in a heartbeat. But so it's twofold because we believe in what we do. And we'll stick to the guns, but we'll also change on a dime.
Right.
And so for us, it's people who come in young, old, seasoned, not seasoned, saying, hey, this is how I'm going to do things. It's like, I mean, you look at our leadership team, who I think is the best in real estate, and they're open to just about everything. And so for us, it's like, yeah, not today. I'll hold the door.
Do you think it's because you've created such a winning culture that people have such a burning desire and passion to win that if they see a path to win, okay, we'll change.
Yeah.
But on that path, they're so passionate, they're so on fire for what they're doing, that you've created that. Hey, we're rolling and we're doing this. Yeah. Hey, by the way, guys, we're having a leadership or management meeting. Here's this. Boom. We all buy into it because we're just passionate to win. Yeah. You think that's been a huge piece of it?
Yeah, no, I'm literally getting a neon sign that says we play to win. That goes right behind me. And so that's everything we do, culture. And it's not always about winning, but having that mentality of you show up to win, you play to win.
Right.
You meet people to win. Yeah.
No, that's huge. How many agents you got with you guys?
We are at about 70 right now.
70 agents.
Not at 200.
No. I don't. But mine are employees. You probably are not
independent contractors.
Aspirations to do that once.
Yeah.
But no, that's huge, man. Like 70 agents. That's awesome. What is the most important thing most important aspect that you've been able to create within your culture, within your team?
I think for me there's two things. I think from our leadership and staff, they would take their shirt off for anyone to help anyone. And I think that's, you kind of referenced it earlier, why our culture is so different is because the people who we've chosen to take the sword, go lead people, are incredible people. Like we know who they are. We know who their family is. And I think we dive into, if you don't see how we see things, and not even like a locked vision, but like if you're not willing to go the extra mile every time for someone, we want no part of it. And I think that's led into the agents. And then we've been super public. Like culture is everything for us. Like I don't want to be weighed down by people or anything. And so for us, it's an electric culture that has a ton of energy. But what's weird is I feel like a lot of times you get young and selfish. Like those two kind of go hand in hand in our world. Right. And so for us, we just don't let it happen. It's like I was literally having a conversation 10 hours ago with a guy who was saying, hey, I don't like this. I don't like this. And it's like, well, this might not be the right fit for you. So
and then you redeploy them out into the agent force.
Yeah, right.
What are some things you're doing on a daily basis to help your culture?
Morning huddle. So it goes back to we were talking before. This is being in office. I think that's
you like you said, you just got a new office.
Yeah.
That's sick.
That's
So you built this. I mean, just we talked to this off air. So Michael just got the Perry Group's got a new office. You basically built your entire group virtually.
Totally.
And you have good culture.
Yeah, we were.
That's tough.
We were a group of 20. when we were in an office, and then the pandemic hit and we went remote. Just about everything went remote, and then we stayed remote. And so for us, we're 2 weeks back into the office and having morning huddles and leadership meetings. And I think the biggest thing, especially when we're talking teams, for like a culture of 5 people, 10 people, I wouldn't say this is necessarily the advice, but we are so strict on who we allow to represent our culture. And so we've designated the correct leaders who can take us to the right place. And so for us, it's morning huddles, it's Slack channels, it's group messages, we have pods. There's so many things that we do that we've really figured out as we've gone remote. It's cool, but at the end of the day, young or old, people love people.
Right.
And they need people more than anything.
Right. No, I 100% agree with that. We were remote. I mean, I've never had an office, but we went from nothing to 100 million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
At that computer right there.
That's so cool.
It sounded cool, but it's really tough, and you kind of get not really depressed. You just get bummed because you just want to be around people. And I travel a lot, way too much. And everybody in the office is, man, we missed you. Like, we haven't seen you. Like, it's boring around here, because I'm always cracking jokes and doing something stupid in the office. Yeah. And
how do you deal with that?
With what?
The travel piece.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Staff.
It's tough.
Yeah.
So I have a really, really good staff that is unfreaking believable. And I believe I have one of the best assistants in the world. And she takes care of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
My COO literally is probably 95% of the Haugen RV group. He's cool. Phenomenal. And I say that because he is such a good operator, and they know. And most of the time I'm traveling with my employees, my staff.
Yeah.
But I also have a lot of other businesses that I'm traveling for, and they understand that. But like I'm sending out emails 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when I'm up or when I'm traveling with they know that I'm always working, I'm constantly working, and I'm so engaged. And we talked about being present.
Yeah.
One thing that I checked myself is I've always I've been present, but like being 100% present when I'm sitting in whatever company I'm in or whatever business I'm, that day I'm juggling all these different companies I have, be 100% present with that employee or that person, or give it all. Because if you're worried about every other thing, like, thank God for D&D on my phone, because every time I'm in a meeting, I'm in D&D and I'm focused on you, because I'm like, I hear my phone vibrate, squirrel, I'm over here.
Yeah.
But they know what I'm doing, and I'm out there always promoting everything that I do. And I'm trying to build my personal brand for us. Like I totally believe, like you were talking about before, why you created your team was, I want to help all of our team. Like, a rising tide raises all ships, right? And everybody's got to eat. I always say that. Everybody's got to eat. I just want to make my table bigger so we can all eat.
Yep.
We all want better food. So they know that I'm out there hustling. Like, last night I was at a birthday party, networking, talking to people, and I met some insane people that collab with and do different things with the RV groups and a couple of the things I have. There's always a networking side of me that I'm just trying to better myself. And I don't ever say that like I'm trying to use anybody. Yeah. I'm trying to help everybody. And I love
connector.
Yeah. I'm Mr. Connector. I know everybody, man. And like, I just want to help people, or you have a need, I can fulfill it, or you need this, I can fulfill it. Hey, what can I do to help you? And I'm just trying to serve. And I never expect anything back, because this sounds weird. I don't like things. Like, I don't like being given things. I'm like, oh yeah, thank you, cool, whatever, bye. I'd rather do something for somebody else. Yeah. And so if I can be that person that helped that individual, I'm like, oh, awesome. And I look at like my team. If I can help you, I look at it like we're providing jobs for 200 plus people. We're paying out a lot of money. Like, I have probably not as much as you guys in real estate, but millions of dollars a month in payroll. And
that's a lot.
It's a lot of money. And, we're doing all of these things, and I'm like, that's all I want to do is keep growing that. And, it's tough though. It's tough to balance that with work, with traveling all over the place. Like, I was, I don't know, I've been gone a lot, and I'm home for 2 days. I'm gone this weekend. I'm home for one. I'm not even home for a day, then I leave. I mean, it's tough, but I'm just grinding, and thank God I have a wife that is unbelievable, that supports me, and I drag her everywhere. She's definitely got a drug problem because she's being drug everywhere, but she's amazing. She's awesome. She supports me in everything I do, or everything we do. We do it together.
Can relate to that one.
It's been tough. Yeah, Dom is freaking
She's amazing.
And I see her little hustling, doing her little interior design thing too.
Yeah.
How has it been able to do that balance and to be able to, because from outside looking in, it's like you have your thing and you kind of working almost kind of on your own. I mean, I know you do flips and things like that.
Totally.
And you're working together. How has it been able to collab with pretty much your wife, or pretty much your wife? She is your wife.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I was on a podcast about 6 months ago and I said, it's been incredible to watch. And two things, it's been incredible to watch. It's also been hard. And we've grown so much from it. And it's been really cool. So we focus, her and I, our little business is just luxury flips because I think it's fun. She's incredible at interior design.
Right. That's what she went to school for, right? Or did she go to school for that?
She went to school for economics.
Oh, little left turn there.
Yeah, way left turn.
But she's
good.
Amazing. I mean, I follow her on Instagram, and what you guys are doing is I mean, some of these houses are gorgeous. All of them are gorgeous, man. They're awesome.
Yeah, so it's been cool, and then it's also been amazing. We're both super self-aware of, hey, do we need to stop talking about work? Where's the balance? But I think it's really cool to do it, and it's like you and Mikkel, to do it with someone, with a partner who you love. There's no agenda behind it.
Right.
And it's like, if we had a hard day, well, we had a hard day and that sucks. We're going to do it again tomorrow.
Right.
And there's never like, Dom, why didn't you do that? It's just like, today was hard. Tomorrow will be better.
Right.
And I think it's a blast. I would say that's where a majority of the passion is right now. Yeah.
Is in those luxury flips with Dom.
Yeah.
What is the biggest piece of advice you could give me? I might struggle with it.
Yeah.
A little bit. And people out there of working with a significant other or their wife, family, kids, whatever, because there's a lot that goes into that. But I mean, what if you're just talking to me? What biggest advice would you give me?
I think the biggest thing is understanding personalities. And so for me, and this is something I've learned recently. So Dom, she's very detail oriented. To where for me, like, I'm delegator, let's get it done.
Right.
And so when we're in these remodels, she notices things that have been done wrong. And I notice the things that have been done. And oh my goodness, there's so much progress. Right. She's like, oh, I see X, Y, and Z. So for me, it used to be like frustrating. How are you not stoked about this?
Right.
And then I just realized, like, that's her personality and that's not a con. That's her job. These houses would suck if she didn't have that eye to see those things. And it's been really interesting. I think just pursue, withdraw. Like I pursue, she withdraws. And understanding that, hey, like, that's her lane. You have to let her stay in it. Right. I have to do my lane. And I mean, man, we talk about it all the time. We read books on it, listen to podcasts. We've gone through classes together.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's awesome. So talking about personalities, do you use like the DI, like the disc, or do you use the colors disc?
Yeah.
So she's a C personality, or what, a D?
Yep. So I'm DI, and she's either S or C. I think she's at C.
C is detail oriented.
Yeah. She's C.
So if you're building a team of people, how important do you think that is, learning personalities and how people operate?
I think it's really important for staff and to help understand, but I would not live and die by that hill.
Right.
So I've seen I've been in so many real estate masterminds where say, if you're going to hire this, they have to be a DI. And for me, I think it's important, but people change.
Right.
And I just preach, like, stick to your guns, but don't be rigid on everything.
And it's okay to say, this is the criteria I'd like.
Yeah.
And this is what we're shooting for. Like, let's be real. If I'm in the NFL world and I'm going to own an NFL team, my quarterback's probably going to look like Tom Brady. Like, that's probably
right.
We call it like a quote unquote avatar, the person that we build. If I was to stick a perfect person into that position, it probably look like Tom Brady, tall, handsome, can throw the ball, whatever. But like, we might get a Johnny Manziel. It's a little short guy that can still throw the ball, and you might not really settle for that, but that you might pivot that. So I do agree that what you just said is so important, is that you don't pigeonhole yourself into a certain, that you live and die by that. Yeah. How important it is for your team to know what personality you are?
I think it's super important to know me as a leader and then the other people who we've surrounded ourselves with. And I don't know. I've heard so many takes on this, like, hey, how much do you allow them into your personal or private life? And for me, I'm a pretty open book because I think it's important to see who I am as a human.
Right.
And like, I think that's what's really cool about social media and like this podcast alone. It's like you get to listen to a couple episodes or you get to look at your Instagram. It's like, oh, I know Jason a little better.
Right.
And I think it's so important. Then like I look at my brother behind a computer, genuinely one of the smartest people I know. It's important that people understand who he is and why he operates like this. And I think it makes everyone so much more effective when you truly know who the actual person is who you're dealing with.
For sure. Do you tell people, hey, if you're hiring a new person or you're bringing on a new agent, kind of really hiring, but you're bringing on a new agent, do you tell them, hey, here's our manual and here's all the personalities of everybody and it's all this nice little book? Or do you pretty much just say, how do you go about that? For people to really know you, is it a conversation you have? Is it because sometimes mine is a conversation I have. Look, I operate like this. Yeah. You can't give me a 40-page email. You got to give me 3 or 4 bullet points and that might be in 3 or 4 different emails. Oh, yeah. Like you have to just do it where I'm quick and make, I'm not going to sit here and read an hour email.
It's all conversation. It's conversation through me, or like you said earlier, I think I have the best assistant in the world. And so it's definitely setting, it's not like hey, A through Z, speak to me like this, do this like this, pretentious or anything like that. But I definitely feel if I need to voice who I am to a certain person, that conversation has to be had, or I have to delegate it to like my assistant, for example, who will have that conversation of exactly who I am and how I operate. Like I'm one of the most ADD people in the world, and I finally got it to, I'm almost always functioning at a high level, but that took so much work of like, hey, leave me in my corner for a little bit. Like, don't ask me questions kind of thing.
Right.
And you got to have those conversations or it's just going to be.
Well, and it brings it back to what you said earlier, is being so self-aware of what you're good at and how you are.
Totally.
Because a lot of people are kind of in denial about how they operate. And I'm like, no, dude, like you're you're terrible, whatever this. No, that's huge, man. I think that's so important that you have those conversations with people, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to win. And it goes back to the culture you're trying to create, right? You're not trying to hide things from people, and you really want them to be involved and to know and to how are things going. And how hard has it been being such an introvert of having hard conversations with people? Because I get asked this all the time. How do you, this person's doing, Jason, and they call me up, what's going on? Hey, I have an employee or someone's doing this. How do I talk to him? Yeah. And, we go through that. How hard has it been for you, or how big of a learning curve or those conversations of being an introvert? Because that's naturally not your personality, especially being an I personality. Yeah. You're there to party, have fun. You don't want anybody to be mad at each other. You're just, what can we do to win, help, and how's it going to be fun? The D in you definitely wants to have those conversations, but the I will always be like, but because we're very similar. I know exactly how that is. And learning to do that is key. How have you been able to get through that and have those conversations that are straight up and just say, hey, this is what's going on and this is what's up?
Yeah. So I've been in real estate 5.5, 6 years. And so I think this is a really cool story for me. Probably the first 4 years, 3-4 years, I was horrific at hard conversations. Really? And then I had a couple things happen to where I didn't have those conversations that like stressed me to the max, gave me anxiety, pushed me against a wall. And I just kind of had one of those turning points. I'm doing the people a massive disservice by not having these hard conversations. Wow. Like at the end of the day, I'm hurting myself, my family, my wife.
That's huge.
By not having these hard conversations. And I just remember, I think it was Craig Rochelle. He leads a church. He leads like 41 across the country. And he was like, you're doing a disservice to people if you're not being straight up with them. And it was like, that's a simple statement, but it just makes, it normalizes conversation. Like, you just have to have it.
Right. And people, I generally find that people like to be talking to straight up because they don't like to guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, hey, where should we go out to eat? Well, I think we should go here. No, let's go here. No, and then you're trying to get. Just tell me,
Yeah.
like, if you have an emotive that you want to go to Texas Roadhouse,
Yeah.
just hey Jason, I want to go to Texas Roadhouse. We'll go to Texas Roadhouse. But I'm sitting here guessing every restaurant in Davis County.
Oh yeah, right.
Where we're trying to go.
Yeah. I had a bunch of my agents and some of my best friends. They would tell me like, hey, like I know you're not super straight up like with having these conversations. So it was like enough of those comments. Like I'm done. And so like even now
I'm the
like,
captain now.
Yeah, it's such a trigger. Like even if you haven't talked to me in a couple of years and I hear that, it's like PTSD.
Right.
So
how have you been able to work with friends so well? There's a lot of friends.
Yeah.
You get close friends that you grew up with.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, I've gotten so much advice not to do it, but I think you may be able to speak to. I'd love to hear what your opinion is after, but it's when you work with people you love and you know them beyond a surface level to where you know what their agenda is, it makes work easier and it makes life easier.
Right. And
so for me, it was, no, it's not been easy. And the hard conversation with friends, that's like a really weird boundary.
10X, the anxiety factor of that one.
Yeah. But I think for me, it was like, would I rather show up to a workplace where I don't know my people more than work, or would I show up to people where I can absolutely change their lives?
Right.
And we took the latter.
And that's awesome because I see you guys traveling together.
Yeah.
I see you doing stuff together. Like your wedding was
What's your take?
A riot.
Because you work with family.
Yes, I do. See, my personality naturally is I'm a pretty straight up person. I take that back. I really don't like to have hard conversations. Yeah. I do delegate those hard conversations, but it's weird. The closer I am with you, the more straight up I can be. And usually it's the opposite of people. But like my best friends, like especially my best friend in construction, like I can tell him like, hey man, I don't like this or I don't like that. And he's cool with that. My brother, I had one of the hardest conversations I've ever had with anybody. Taking my brother to eat one day and said, dude, you're failing at your job. You have 30 days. I'm going to let you go. And I know that your family is banking on this income. I'm going to let you go in 30 days. And he checked me, threw it back on me, and was like, well, you never showed me. And so I'm okay. Look, we're having a good conversation. And it ended up being one of the greatest things to ever happen to us because he took that conversation and just rolled with what I wanted him to do. And has created one of the best inventory management programs in the entire RV industry. Yeah. And he's killing it. And we've had to have a really, really hard conversation. And I have to kind of just put my CEO hat on and to say, and I tell him, hey, I love you to death. Yeah. You're my brother, but I'm going to talk to you like I would talk to anybody else. And we're going to have a real conversation. And I want to just talk about this. And so I kind of set that expectation, but it's hard. But at the end of the day, if you do stuff with love, and it sounds, people always, I got asked one time, what's the biggest piece of advice you could give to an entrepreneur or owner of a business? Just love your people.
I heard that from you.
Yeah. If you come from a area in your heart that you're really trying to do the best for them, how is that conversation hard? Yeah. That's how I look at it. So if I'm really trying to, now if I'm trying to screw you over, those are hard conversations. Now, if that's an easy conversation with you, I would check yourself and you need to go to self-help rehab or something like that, because that's just a sneaky person, right? But if you truly appreciate and you truly love your people and you're coming with those hard conversations, like if yours, hey, you might not be doing sales or networking or marketing or doing the right things, or he keeps screwing this paperwork, like I'm going to have that conversation and set you up to win. Like, let's keep winning. Let's have, like, I don't want you to fail. If they really feel that, that's an easy conversation. Yeah. Because why would a hard conversation be that hard if you just wanted to win? So that's always been my mindset. I'm doing this out of love and doing this to help you. And we're men about it, women about it. Like we just have, hey, if it's working, it's working. If it's not, it's not. And we have those hard conversations.
Has that always been easy for you to have those hard conversations?
No. Yeah. No, it's definitely taken me a little bit of experience of dealing with people to learn that. Yeah. Because I'm naturally an I personality. I want to party and I'm on the people side of the quadrant. And I just want everybody to love each other and just to have a good time and everybody to be included. And so it's been hard to like power through that and say, okay, like at the end of the day, like I have to do what's best for the company. And I always say, look, the success and the successes and failures of the company can't rise and fall on one person. So now my people side comes out and I'm like, well, you are hurting other people. Like, how dare you? You know, like
Totally.
I look at it more like that of, hey, I'm protecting the mothership. We got to have those hard conversations. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. Amen to that. It makes light, and that's what you're speaking my language. I mean, for years I dealt with the backlash of having roundabout conversations.
Right.
And now I mean, even my assistant, she's been my assistant long enough to where she's seen both sides. Me hate hard conversations and me be good at hard conversations.
Right.
And she'll be like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, it was easy. Like, we're good.
Right.
So, yeah.
No,
Amen to that.
That's awesome, man. And I love what you're doing out there. You absolutely, you're killing it. And I love that. You know, I see the prayer group everywhere, man. I feel like every time
we're trying.
Instagram, you're doing. Wrapping this up, what is next for the prayer group?
I think the next thing for us, it took us so long to get to an office space and community, and we've done so well at a high level, but we really want to take market share. And so there's never in the state of Utah been real market share in residential real estate.
Really?
And so for us, it's, can we build an elite brand, which I think we've established, but now can we attract just as many elite people?
Right.
To where we take 5%, then we take 10% of the market, and where those sales come through us. And it's definitely, it's through branding, it's through people. But yeah, it's being with people, collabing with people, trying to take it.
That's awesome. One thing I do want to ask you that I've been meaning to ask, and we'll go over long because I think this is important. How have you been able to attract the all-star, the firepower of people that you've been able to attract? I get asked this all the time.
I think brand is everything, and brand is so important. So I think it goes to the culture piece, love your people. And I think you see a couple things. You see love your people done really well, and then the brand is trash. Or you see the brand is incredible, but I know who runs the company, they're slimy.
Right.
And so I think it's that fine balance of, we have an elite brand, and when you come in, we are exactly who you thought we were. Like, we're real people, we're good people, and we deliver. And I think that is absolutely everything, giving people a world-class experience. And then secondly, like we live in a generation, or we live in a world that just wants things to be a little easier. And that's not a con, but can we bring in people to make their lives easier so they can go make more money? That's as simple as what we do.
That's huge. If you're just helping someone start out, or, you know, advice, or, you know, whatever it is, and you wanted, you know, you're helping me to create that environment. What are some of the biggest things that you've been able to do to create that environment of that culture in both, where the brand's legit, your team's legit, what you say, you do, who you are, you're honest, all these things. How do you lay that foundation?
Yeah, I think better together. And that sounds cheesy, but find a couple people who you want to do it with. And so I was a solo agent in the beginning, and then I found my dad and one of my best friends, and we just did it together. And it was, find people who can help push the boundaries of everything you do. But with that said, find people who you absolutely trust and love working with. And it makes it easier, but it makes the hard times, what I think is more important, the 10 o'clock, the 2 a.m.,
right,
coming in, working, you have that client who wants to talk to you, that conversation you have to have.
Right.
It's what you do.
Right.
And you have people who you trust and love.
Right. It's, man, having a team is so important.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how people do it by themselves. I get asked all the time, like, why don't you do this? Or why do you have this? Or why don't you go, you know, I've bought things from people that hated people so much they're selling stuff. Like, I'm like, why would I just don't view people like that. And I love, you know, the fact that you know, a lot of the not really questions, but a lot of the interests I had of you in the para group were answered in this. And I really, really appreciate you. And I hope, you know, a lot of people hear this and really look maybe more into who you really are and the group really is, and that trust, because it's so important to have that trust that you were saying with people, with the team members, with clients.
Yeah.
Having that trust that you have their best interests, at heart, that you're not just chasing paychecks, which I think is really important. So, Michael, thank you so much. The one thing I want to ask you, and just to wrap this up, is success is what to you? What does success mean?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think success is doing what you do, whatever you do in life, at the highest level you possibly can do it at. And then also having success, and you'll hear this from about probably everyone on your podcast, but being extremely successful in business, but just as, or not more, successful in life. And I think the last piece I'll leave with, we were talking to someone, and he says, hey, like you have a hard time being present, finding joy. Like, have you worked so hard, but have you ever worked hard to achieve joy? And I was like,
wow.
No,
Wow.
I haven't. Absolutely not. And I think just from that moment. So yeah, success in business is cool, but it's not that cool if you don't have happiness and everything else.
That is so, so powerful. And man, that's wow. Like, I'm going to think about that.
Yeah.
Because, like, finding success and joy in really like chasing that.
Yeah. Chasing joy. Like, have you worked for joy? And
That,
the answer
like,
was
I'm
no.
almost like going to get emotional, because like you really think about it, and I don't know if maybe finding a joy in business success.
Yeah.
But like joy is so much more than, like, it's such a big word, right?
Yeah.
It's such a big emotion.
Totally.
Wow. I'm going to definitely sleep on that one, and probably not sleep on that
Yeah.
one. But man, I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to end with that. And I just appreciate you more than you know for coming on. And I wish you all the success, man. You're out there doing your thing and crushing it. So thank you.
Hey, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate
Thank you.
I get mine. You get yours. Who gon' ride?